Daddy, why did Uncle Matt sleep in Mommy's bed last night? Those words hit me harder than any punch ever could. I slowly knelt down in front of my daughter, trying to keep my voice calm. What do you mean, sweetheart? She couldn't have been older than 5. She tilted her head, confused by the sudden change in my face. I woke up last night to get some water, and I saw him in your room. Mommy told me not to tell you. Oops. She giggled. She had no idea she'd just thrown a live grenade into my chest. Right then, I heard the creak of the floorboards behind me. I turned around. There she was, Kate, standing at the top of the stairs in a bathrobe, her face pale and her eyes wide with panic. For a few seconds, none of us moved. Then the lies started. Sweetheart, Uncle Matt wasn't in our room, Kate said, her voice trembling slightly as she walked down the stairs. She avoided my eyes. Matt, my business partner for the last 7 years. The best man at our wedding. My daughter's godfather. His face twisted in confusion. But I saw him, Ellie said. Why don't you watch some cartoons while Mommy and Daddy talk? Somehow, I managed to keep my voice steady. My hands were shaking as I grabbed the remote and turned on her favorite show. Once Ellie had settled on the couch with her headphones on, I turned to Kate. We walked to the kitchen, felt like the only place fit for what was coming. Daniel, I can explain, she whispered. I leaned on the counter. I needed the support just to stay upright. Can you really? I said quietly. Because I'm having a hard time imagining any good reason why our 5-year-old would have seen Matt in our bedroom last night. Kate didn't look at me. Her eyes kept darting around. She was still wearing the silk robe I gave her for our anniversary last month. It's not what you think, she said. The most predictable line in the history of cheaters. Then what is it, Kate? Because what I think is that while I was in Chicago, closing the Peterson deal, a trip Matt conveniently backed out of at the last minute. He was here, in my bed, with my wife. She flinched. I had never spoken to her with such coldness in all our 12 years together. Not through financial struggles. Not through the birth of our daughter. Not even after my mother died. We were always a team. Or so I thought. She started rambling something about the Johnson proposal, trying to change the subject. I laughed, an empty, bitter sound that didn't feel like mine. It was late, she said. He'd had a few drinks. It wasn't safe for him to drive, so I let him sleep in the guest room. The guest room? I asked. You mean the same one where Ellie saw him last night? That guest room. Kate's face fell. She's confused. She probably saw him in the hallway. I pulled out my phone and placed it on the counter. Let's call Matt. See what he has to say. The look of panic that flashed across her face told me everything I needed to know. Don't, she whispered. Why not? If nothing happened, if this is all just a big misunderstanding, then why shouldn't I call my best friend and business partner? She said nothing. Tears welled up in her eyes. I called anyway. The phone rang a few times, then went to voicemail. Hey Matt, it's Daniel. Just wanted to ask how last night went. Ellie mentioned she saw you here. Call me back. I ended the call and stared at Kate. The silence between us dragged on until it felt like its own living, breathing thing. 6 months, she finally said, her voice barely a whisper. 6 months. Half a year of lies. Of betrayal. Of me looking like a fool. Why? It was the only question that mattered. And yet, I already knew no answer would ever be enough. Kate sank into a chair at our kitchen table. The same table where we'd shared thousands of meals, talked about our future, and helped Ellie with her coloring books. I don't know, she whispered. It just happened. No, Kate. It doesn't just happen. You made choices. Every step of the way. She looked up at me, her face wet with tears. I was lonely. You were always gone with work. Matt was here. He listened. You didn't. I raised my hand. Don't you dare blame my work. Everything I did, everything, was for you and Ellie. My phone vibrated. Matt. I picked up and put it on speaker. Daniel, hey. Just got your message. What's up? His casual tone made my blood boil. This man, who stood next to me at my wedding, who held my newborn daughter, who hugged me at my mother's funeral, was now acting like he hadn't just destroyed my life. Ellie saw you in our bedroom last night, I said flatly. Silence. Matt, are you still there? Daniel, I'll save you the trouble. Kate already told me everything. 6 months. You two must have been laughing behind my back the whole time. It wasn't like that, he said, his voice tense. We need to talk, but not like this. No, we don't need to talk at all. Our partnership is over. You can explain to the clients why. And stay the hell away from my family. My family. Kate cut in, finding her voice. You're barely even here, Daniel. When's the last time you went to one of Ellie's dance recitals? Or remembered our anniversary without me having to remind you? I stared at her, stunned. So this is my fault now? I'm the bad guy because I work hard for this family. It's not about the money, Kate shouted, then quickly lowered her voice, glancing toward the living room. It's about being there. About connection. Matt was here when you weren't. I'll come over, Matt said through the phone. No, you won't, I snapped. Daniel, please. We need to discuss this like adults, Matt said in that same calm tone he always used when things got tense. I wondered if he used that voice with Kate too. The deal, he began. We have clients who rely on us. We can't just. I hung up. Kate shook her head. You can't throw everything away like this. I didn't throw anything away, I said. And then I walked toward the living room to check on Ellie. I needed a moment. I needed to breathe. She sat there, headphones on, watching her cartoon, completely unaware that her world had just changed forever. I watched her for a moment. The screen laughed, and her little face lit up with joy. How much had she really seen? How much had she understood? The thought that she had witnessed her mother's betrayal filled me with a rage I didn't even know I was capable of. When I walked back into the kitchen, Kate was typing furiously on her phone. Texting your lover? I asked. She looked up at me. Her eyes were red, but also defiant. I'm telling him not to come. This is between us, Daniel. We need to talk. Talk, I said coldly. You mean figure out whether I'll forgive you? Whether I should keep working with a man who betrayed me in the worst way possible? Whether our marriage is even worth saving? For Ellie, she said softly. Maybe for her. I laughed bitterly. You should have thought about Ellie before you invited Matt into our bed. It wasn't just about sex, Kate said, her voice shaky. I fell in love with him. That sentence knocked the air right out of my lungs. Somehow, that made it worse. Love meant connection, intimacy, dreams, plans, all the things we once shared. Get out, I said. I was almost surprised at how calm I sounded. What? I want you out of this house. Pack a bag and go. You can't be serious. This is my home too. Ellie needs me. Ellie needs a mother who respects her family. Her father. Herself. Kate stood up. Her tears were gone, replaced by anger. You can't set the moral standard here, Daniel. Our marriage was already broken before Matt. Maybe, I said. But only one of us chose to cheat. A knock on the door cut through the tension. Of course it was him. Daddy, someone's at the door. Ellie called from the living room. I walked past Kate. She reached out to touch my arm, but I brushed her off. Stay away from the door, I warned. But Ellie was already skipping toward it, excited by the thought of a visitor. By the time I reached her, she had already opened the door. Uncle Matt, she said, lighting up. Did you come for another sleepover? The silence that followed was deafening. Matt's face turned pale as he looked at Ellie, then at me, then at Kate standing in the hallway. Hey, princess, he said weakly. Then he straightened up and looked me in the eye. Daniel, we need to talk. Ellie, go back to your show, I said gently, turning her around. She pouted but obeyed. As soon as she was out of earshot, I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. It was a quiet Sunday morning. The street was calm. Neighbors were walking dogs, washing their cars, living their normal lives, completely unaware of the implosion happening inside the Miller house. You've got some nerve showing up here, I said, my voice low. Matt raised his hands like he was trying to calm me down. I know you're angry. Angry, I snapped. That doesn't even begin to cover it. There's more at stake than just our personal issues, he said. The business, our employees, our clients. We can't let that fall apart. I looked at him, the man I thought I knew. He'd always had that effortless charm. A good-looking, charismatic guy. The perfect complement to my more serious nature. I once thought he made our firm stronger. Now, I wondered how many other things he'd smiled his way through. Did you think about that while you were sleeping with my wife? About the business? About me? Of course I did, Matt said, running a hand through his hair. I always hated that habit of his. Kate and I, we had a connection. My fist hit his jaw before he could finish the sentence. He staggered back, nearly falling down the porch steps. The sharp pain in my knuckles felt strangely satisfying. Daniel. Kate had opened the door. She stared at Matt, horrified. Matt slowly stood up, rubbing his jaw. I deserve that, he admitted. You deserve a hell of a lot more, I replied. Across the street, a light flicked on. Miss Henderson, our elderly neighbor, peeked out through her curtains. Let's talk inside. Please, Kate begged. For Ellie. Don't you dare use my daughter as a shield, I growled. But I still moved back toward the door. The last thing I wanted was for Ellie to see her father fighting on the front porch. Inside, Ellie was still watching her cartoon, though she glanced over curiously at the three adults now awkwardly standing in the entryway. Ellie, sweetheart, why don't you go play in your room for a while? Kate said gently. Mommy and Daddy need to talk to Uncle Matt about some adult stuff. Ellie sighed dramatically but started up the stairs, dragging her favorite unicorn behind her. We waited until her bedroom door shut, and we heard the lock click. Then the fragile facade of normal life fell apart completely. Let me make one thing clear. I looked back and forth between Kate and Matt. Our partnership is over, both in business and in private life. I'll call a lawyer tomorrow and start the divorce process. As for the company, either we split it or you buy me out. I don't care which. Daniel, please, Kate began. You're rushing this, Matt added. Think about it. Rushing? I laughed bitterly. You two have been sneaking around behind my back for 6 months, under my roof, near my daughter, and I'm rushing things because I want to end it in a single day? The doorbell rang. We all froze. You expecting anyone else? I asked sarcastically. Kate shook her head, clearly confused. I went to the door, half hoping it was just a neighbor concerned about the noise. But when I opened it, I stood face to face with Rebecca, Matt's wife, married to him for 8 years. Rebecca, I said, honestly surprised. I didn't expect you here. Her normally perfect blonde hair was a mess, and her eyes were swollen and red. She was gripping her phone like a weapon. Where is he? She asked calmly, despite how she looked. I stepped aside silently and let her in. The look on Matt's face when he saw his wife was something I won't forget. Like someone waking up to a nightmare. Becca, he started, but she raised her hand. Don't, she said. I saw the footage, Matt. His face went pale. What footage? Rebecca turned to me. Did you know we installed cameras at the lake house after that break-in last summer? I shook my head. Well, she said, imagine my surprise when I checked the footage this morning and saw my husband's car parked there last night, with your wife. The lake house. That secluded vacation home an hour outside the city. I suddenly felt sick. You told me you had a client meeting in Springfield, Rebecca said to Matt, her voice trembling with anger. Then she turned to Kate. And you? You gave me coffee on Thursday and told me how much you missed Daniel while he was in Chicago. How lonely you were. Rebecca let out a short, humorless laugh. I even offered to come over and keep you company. But you already had plans, didn't you? The puzzle pieces clicked into place. That's why Matt was here last night, I said slowly. You two came back from the lake house together. Kate looked cornered. It was late. Nothing happened here, she stammered. Because it already happened there. I finished for her. You weren't supposed to be back until today. So they had their fun at the lake house. Then Matt dropped her off and just didn't leave. I'd had too much to drink, Matt mumbled. It wasn't safe to drive. Oh. How thoughtful, Rebecca snapped. Worried about safety while you were tearing apart 2 families. The 4 of us stood in my living room, the remains of our marriages lying around us like debris after a storm. Does anyone else know about this? Kate asked Rebecca quietly. Like who? Our couple friends? The ones we've had dinner with for years. Rebecca's voice turned icy. Not yet, but they will. I already sent the footage to my lawyer this morning. Matt looked like he might pass out. Becca, please, maybe we can. Forget it, she said flatly. Then she turned to me. Daniel, I'm sorry you had to find out like this. I came as soon as I saw the footage. I nodded. Thank you, at least for your honesty. What happens now? I asked, not sure if I was talking to her, to Kate, or to myself. Rebecca straightened her shoulders. Now I'm taking my husband home. And then I'll explain to him in great detail how his affair just cost him half of everything we built together. Then I'm calling a divorce lawyer. Matt opened his mouth, but she cut him off. Save it, Matt. The cameras caught you at the lake house 5 times in the last month. This wasn't a one-time mistake. I turned to Kate, who had sunk onto the couch with her face in her hands. 5 times just at the lake house, I said slowly. What about our bed? While I was away? In hotels? In his office? Kate didn't answer. She didn't need to. Why is everyone yelling? Came a small voice. We all turned to the stairs. Ellie stood there, clutching her stuffed unicorn, her bottom lip trembling. Kate rushed over and knelt beside her. Everything's fine, sweetheart. Sometimes adults just disagree. Is Uncle Matt in trouble? Ellie asked. Her innocent question broke the tension. Uncle Matt made some very bad choices, I said, before Kate could respond. And now he has to live with the consequences. Matt winced. Rebecca headed toward the door. I'll be in the car, she said to Matt. You have 5 minutes. If you're not out there, I'm leaving without you. After she left, the silence was crushing. Kate, I finally said, take Ellie upstairs. Help her pack a bag. You're both going to your mother's for a few days. I need space. Daniel, this isn't a discussion, I said firmly. Ellie doesn't need to see any more of this. I turned to Matt. And you get out. Now. Matt hesitated, looking from Kate to me. Daniel, the company. Send me your buyout offer by email tomorrow, I said. Otherwise, I'll begin the dissolution process myself. Matt nodded slowly, defeated. He gave Kate one last look, then walked to the door. I'm sorry, he said quietly. If that means anything. It means nothing, I replied. After he left, Kate took Ellie upstairs to pack. I stood alone in the living room, surrounded by family photos that now looked like relics from a life that no longer existed. Kate and I on our honeymoon in Italy. The 3 of us last year at Disney World. A fishing trip with Matt and Rebecca at the lake house. The same lake house where my wife and best friend had their affair. My phone vibrated. A message from Rebecca. We should talk. Coffee in the morning. I replied, yes. Tell me when and where. Upstairs, I could hear Kate's soft voice as she reassured Ellie, telling her they'd visit Grandma for a few days. I wondered what lies she was telling our daughter now, and what lies she'd keep telling her in the future. About 20 minutes later, she came downstairs with a small suitcase. Ellie ran straight to me and hugged me tightly. Are you coming to Grandma's too, Daddy? She asked, wrapping her arms around my neck. Not this time, sweetheart, I said gently. Daddy needs to stay here and take care of a few things. But I'll see you again very soon. Promise. Is it because Uncle Matt slept in Mommy's bed? She asked innocently. Over Ellie's shoulder, I saw Kate flinch. No, sweetheart, I lied. It's just adult stuff. Nothing you need to worry about. I helped them load the car. I kept my words with Kate to a minimum. When she started the engine, she rolled the window down. Daniel, please. When I come back, can we talk? Please. I looked at her. The woman I had loved for over a decade. The mother of my child. Now just a stranger. I'll call you, I said, without commitment. As I watched her drive away, I felt a strange mix of emotions. Anger, betrayal, sadness, but also something unexpected, relief. The lies were out. The truth was on the table. Whatever came next, at least it would be real. My phone rang. It was our biggest client, probably wondering why the Monday prep hadn't been sent yet. I let it go to voicemail. Some things were more important than business. Inside, I poured myself a drink and sat down at the kitchen table. It was still Sunday morning, but traditional rules no longer seemed to matter. I opened my laptop and began writing an email to my lawyer. The house around me was quiet, quieter than ever before. I thought about the life Kate and I had built together, and how quickly it had fallen apart. I thought about Matt, how he'd been there for every major moment of my adult life, only to betray me in the worst possible way. I thought about Ellie, innocent, confused, caught in the middle of all this. And I thought about the future, uncertain, frightening, unfamiliar, but maybe also a chance to rebuild something honest, something true. I took a sip of my drink and kept typing. Monday morning. The coffee was good. Rebecca sat across from me in a small cafe. She looked just as tired as I felt. Neither of us had slept much. How's Ellie? She asked. She's with her grandmother. Kate says she's confused, but okay. Rebecca stirred her tea, lost in thought. My kids are with my sister. I told them Daddy and I are having some problems, but that we both love them very much. She gave a tired smile. The usual divorce lines, I guess. We sat in silence for a moment. Two people connected by the same betrayal. Did you ever suspect anything? I finally asked. Rebecca shook her head. Not really. Matt always worked late. Traveled a lot. I trusted him completely. She let out a bitter laugh. Stupid or just loyal? I'm not sure anymore. I sighed. I felt the same. Even when the signs were right in front of me. What signs? I thought back over the last 6 months. Kate started going to the gym more. Bought new clothes. Always on her phone, hiding it when I walked into the room. All the classic signs I had chosen to ignore. Rebecca nodded. Matt started picking fights. Over nothing. Creating distance to justify what he was doing, I guess. She took another sip of her tea. What are you going to do with the company? I'll probably break it up. I can't imagine working with him again. He won't let go easily, she said. That company is his identity. I shrugged. Let him fight it. I've got enough proof of financial misuse to bring the whole thing down. Rebecca raised an eyebrow. Financial misuse. He used company funds to cover their affair. The lake house trip wasn't the first charge to our business account. Rebecca mumbled, almost to herself. And what about Kate? Are you going to try and fix it? I stared into my coffee. I don't know. For Ellie's sake, I want to say yes. But how do you come back from something like this? You don't, Rebecca said firmly. At least, I can't. Freedom has a price. But so does staying. We talked for another hour. Compared notes. Shared details. In the end, we had formed an unlikely alliance, born from shared pain. Just as we were about to leave, Rebecca surprised me with a hug. We'll get through this, Daniel, she said. Not today, but someday. We deserve better than what they gave us. I nodded. I want to believe that too. Let me know if you need anything. You too. She looked at me one last time. And Daniel, whatever Kate decides, make sure it's what's best for you and Ellie. Not what's easiest. I watched her walk away, head held high despite everything. I admired her strength. My phone buzzed. A message from Kate. Can we talk tonight? Mom can watch Ellie. I stared at the screen for a long time before I replied. 8 p.m. Don't bring Matt. Her response came almost immediately. I won't. Just us. Thank you. I put the phone away and walked into my office. I had meetings to cancel, clients to calm, a company to potentially dismantle. But first, I had to figure out what to do with the rubble of my marriage. What kind of father I wanted to be. What example I wanted to set. Whether forgiveness was possible or even right. Whether love, once shattered by betrayal, could ever truly be whole again. I didn't have the answers yet. But as I walked through the city that morning, I realized something. For the first time in a long time, I was making decisions based on the truth, and not on convenient lies. It wasn't much, but it was a start.